And now to our first conversation. We see Nigeria's economic fortunes are closely tied to its oil and gas sector. However, the country's dependence on crude oil exports while lacking adequate refining capacity presents a significant economic challenge. This conversation will analyze the current state of the oil and gas industry with particular focus on refining and production. We'll also look at what to expect when it comes to technological advancements, coming in for the oil and gas industry, because definitely with technological advances, definitely we can get the best of this industry so that we can get more oil production out there, refine more, and actually get affordable petroleum product prices at some point. I'm sure that's what everybody's hoping for at this point. But joining us for this conversation, we have Dr. Engineer Wole Ogunsonya as the chairman of PETAN, and we also have Mr. Innocent Akuve as a public secretary chairman, 30th anniversary committee also for PETAN. It's great to have you both on the show today.
Thank you.
Yeah. So a lot definitely happening in this industry. But before we get into the meat of the matter, I want to start with your association first. I know you're about 30 years
That's right.
now. And congratulations on that. And definitely, I'd like to hear from you, sir. So about 3 decades now of the existence of this association, what would you say has been contributed to the oil and gas industry so far?
Yeah, thank you very much. PETAN, the Petroleum Technology Association of Nigeria, is essentially a group of indigenous companies founded in Nigeria, anchored by Nigerians, providing what we call exploration and production services to the oil and gas industry. These services in the past were being provided by multinational companies. So 30 years ago, some brave, wise men came up and come up with the idea of forming the association. These companies, our forebearers that started this 30 years ago, toiled, sweated, and tears and blood to get us to where we are today. Many of us will recollect that we passed a Local Contact Act in 2010, and PETAN has existed 16 years before that, competing in this space that was dominated by the multinational companies. So it's a great, thing for us. It's a great celebration to us that today, with the NOGIC Act that was passed in 2010, we've even expanded the services that Nigerians are producing. Today, we provide well services across all kinds of services in the upstream, midstream, and even in downstream. And to explain this to Nigerians properly, what it means is that the GDP of Nigeria has grown through PETAN efforts in the last 30 years. Those revenues that would have been paid out to multinational companies are now being earned by Nigerians. We employ more Nigerians. PETAN over 10,000 Nigerians, and we bring in revenue of in the range of $2 billion. You can do that math. All that money would not be here if these brave men that started PETAN didn't do that. And of course, the NOGIC Act that we passed in 2010 to ensure that Nigerians participate in these oil and gas. It will be tough for us to continue to find experts to come and produce our oil and gas. That's the facts. Today, the Western world, especially in Europe, are going for renewable energy. China is big in that. So to find people to come and do this job for us will be more and more difficult. We are 200 million people. We have a lot of engineering schools across the country, both federal and state. And without us creating opportunities like this, those graduates will not have a job at the end of the day. So that's what PETAN represents. We are very glad and we're very proud of what we have contributed to Nigerian economy and the industry in the last 30 years.
I can imagine you guys have been quite busy. Yeah. Well, I'll come to you now, Dr. Innocent, because the issues remain in the oil and gas industry when you're talking about aged facilities and all of that. So talk to me about some technological advancements you can speak to that we've seen in the industry so far.
Yeah, okay. If you look at the theme of our anniversary, it is navigating the next. And navigating the next is actually talking about very smart technologies. and I don't want to unbundle that here, because that's the myth of our anniversary, and on 13th of December, the details of that will be taken by subject matter specialists. So I'll just allow me.
So we'll keep that one closed.
Just keep it there close.
But so far, though, what have we seen? What would you say?
I mean, my chairman has said it all. I mean, for the last 30 years, it's been improvement upon improvement upon improvement in capacity building, in country capacity building, in human resource development. I mean, most PETAN companies, in fact, if you're not a proper Nigerian company, you wouldn't be a member of PETAN in the first instance. So a lot of specialists have been built among us, a lot of capacities have been built, and this is ongoing, and the trend is just to keep moving. So I'm sure if you would be with us on the 13th, when the chairman will introduce Navigating the Next, you get the details and you'll be amazed what we have done this far.
Now, I definitely want to know what's next, at this point. I'm talking about what's next.
Yeah.
Looking at refining in Nigeria, that has been on the burner for the longest time, bringing up conversations. So I want to know how your association is looking at, Nigerians' prospects for refining its own oil. Going forward, we see a couple of refineries coming on stream at this time. I'd like to get your perspective on that. So how is your association seeing all that's playing out in the refining industry in Nigeria?
Thank you very much. I'll answer that question directly, but I need us to understand, what we defined as value chain in the oil and gas industry. The oil and gas industry starts from finding where the oil is through a technique that we call seismic. And then you bring rigs, whether it's on land, swamp, or offshore, to drill that well. That's the value chain. When you drill that well and you encounter the oil and gas, you need to transport that oil and gas to a refinery or to a gas plant, or even export it. So there is a value chain within that. The pipelines industry, which is a midstream, or part of our business, handles that. And of course, if you refine the products, which is what you're asking about, the Nigerians can have those fuel refined in country. And if we process the gas, by the way, we have huge abundance of gas in Nigeria. Those gas can go into the power plants. We all know how we're suffering today, the national grid collapsing, not generating enough electricity for Nigerians. So that gas goes into a gas plant to power electricity for Nigerians. And of course, for the use, for domestic use, when we talk about LPG, breaking that gas to that level. So that's the value chain. So all we're saying and we're doing is, if Nigeria can keep that value chain in country, if we can ensure from finding the oil, drilling and producing the oil and gas, refining it and processing the oil and gas, and using it in country, it's clear to me we'll be top 20 economy in the world. Now, in terms of refining capacity in Nigeria, there has been a lot of gap. This is not something that happens overnight. We have 4 refineries in Nigeria. If I take the stock, by the way, we have the Kaduna refinery owned by NNPC. We have refinery in Warri, also owned by NNPC. And in Port Harcourt, there are 2 refineries in Port Harcourt. So NNPC and the federal government has 4 refineries. So we've had challenges in the past to get these refineries to work. There is a lot of work being done today by NNPC. I think we're seeing some results. Some of the products will start coming out of Port Harcourt refinery. But the main thing for us today in Nigeria is that our business mogul, Alhaji Dangote, on his own efforts, has established a refinery that if we give enough crude oil to that refinery, the issue of importing refined products into the country will be over. He's established a 650,000 barrels of oil per day refinery in the Lekki axis. So the challenge we have today is to provide him the crude oil that he needs to refine these products. And I think there is a lot of work around that within NNPC and the federal government. They found solution to that. So behind that, with many challenges that we have, is actually to produce enough oil to feed that refinery. So today I'm happy where we are as far as refinery is concerned. There are also independent modular refineries across Niger Delta, there's a number of companies that are doing that work to Smith, have a refinery. There are other local E&P companies. These are indigenous oil companies owned by Nigerians that are putting their step forward and establishing these refineries. So I'm comfortable to answer your question where we are in refining capacity. Where I'm not comfortable and where we need to put more effort is how to give more crude oil to these refineries to be able to refine products for us locally. And there is a lot of effort in that. The NUPRC that regulates the upstream had an event 2-3 weeks ago where 1 million barrels of additional oil is being strategized right now with all stakeholders, including the multinational oil producing in Nigeria. So PETAN is in the steering committee. We're able to give advice on how these 1 million barrels can come in. When we get there, in the next 1 or 2 years, I think Nigerians will see a lot of relief in terms of refined products in the country.
And we definitely need a lot of relief, at this time. Dr. Akufwe, talking about most of these refineries getting feedstock, what are you seeing for oil production coming out from Nigeria going into 2025?
I mean, I don't want to repeat what my chairman just said,
right?
Because the whole effort is to improve on production, and all stakeholders are involved. PETAN is involved, other professional bodies like us are involved, and from the regulatory side, I think they've done the best they can, encouraging us to get involved. My chairman will always tell you that our work is to produce the first oil, and we're not resting on our oars at all, that again has to do with building capacities, because you may have a challenge, you don't have the required technology, the required equipment to do that. But in PETAN alone, there is no challenge of such that we're not able to take on, So going to next year, I think, I'm sure, my chairman, we could do better than 1 million additional barrels.
Yes.
Well, that would definitely be needed, because we need more revenue from this resource at this point. But, still talking about local content, how would you describe the youth's perception of this industry? Do you think Nigerian youths are keen on coming into the oil and gas industry? What are you seeing? They are, and we're creating the appropriate opportunities for them. I'm sure my chairman will talk about the internship we have in collaboration with Shell and NCDMB, where young graduates are posted to PETAN companies to be, tutored and put through on various operational methods. So at the end of the day, after 2 years, these guys, even if they're not retained by the PETAN company, most times they are retained. If they are not retained, at least they have the requisite experience to move on to other companies and help the country to grow. So it's been on. Initially, we started with Shell. Now NCDB got involved, and other companies like Chevron has also indicated interest to run that. So you can imagine the number of youths. We're looking at about 100 youths, young engineers, young professionals who are going to join for next year, 2024, 2025. 2026 as it is, because it's 2 years now. So I wanted to just imagine that every 2 years, just between PETAN, Shell, and NCDB, we have about 100 young graduates interned among our facilities. And other companies are queuing in. So manpower is being developed, human resources are being developed, and that's what PETAN want to see. That's our role in seeing that the youths are properly trained, giving them the necessary exposure, to making the industry a much efficient one. Right, and talking about efficiency, Dr. Ogunsoya, there's also that need for transparency, in the industry, and I believe that can help, drive the development we're looking for in the oil and gas industry. So what are you seeing? Are you seeing this industry getting more transparent, and, with the regulators and, companies that handle this very important oil and gas industry in Nigeria?
Definitely, in any business, not just in oil and gas, transparency, rule of law, code of conduct are essential, because when you're doing business, essentially what you're doing is, of course, you have your employees, you have your clients, you have the regulators, and of course, in our own industry, we have the government. So we are relying on what we agreed, whether it's a contract, whether it's a process of awarding a contract, whether it's a regulation, that those regulations will stay the way they're supposed to stay. And we will go plan our business accordingly with an assumption of ABC of what is expected of us. So if anything changes in that aspect, then it will disrupt the business. So we are seeing, of course, a lot of transparency. NNPC has done, they've been doing this for probably more than 10 years. There is a body in NNPC that is called NIPEX. This is a platform where we all go to, bid for work. Essentially, when you're talking of transparency, is to quantify the works that needs to be done and ensure that those work are awarded to the companies that have the capacity to do that. So that's what NIPEX does. So it's a good platform. Even non-PETAN members subscribe to it. Most of the work that needs to be done in the oil and gas industry goes through this platform. And we believe in that, platform for transparency, to answer your question. And PETAN is also in the governing board of NIPEX. And that's part of some of the things when we talk about this great association, that we are key in all the areas of getting Nigeria to produce. Not everything is rosy. In the past, we've had issues of portfolio companies, essentially people that are not qualified to do the work, eroding that space. But I think the regulators are tightening that up. In PETAN, one of the things we're doing is that we are partnering with NCDMB to set up what we call PETAN Seal of Quality. We were in Bayelsa just last week, reiterating that between us and NCDMB, that look, if you want to say you can provide certain services, you are qualified to do certain things in the industry, we need to measure you. In this process, we are bringing an international body, Bureau Veritas, to join us so that this will be very transparent. Essentially, what we're saying is, if you say you can do ABC, we want to come and see the equipment that you use to do that ABC. We want to see your capacity. We want to look at your training program. We want to look at, the employees that you have to ensure that, and your maintenance system. In our industry, maintenance is a big thing. So we want to see that for you to be approved and qualified to do that job. So this is a process to reduce portfolio company. The country loses a lot. And it costs more. There has been a lot of emphasis on cost of production in Nigeria, but when you go down below, you realize that it's not actually the service company that carries out the work that caused that. The revenue that comes to us as service company, whether you are a PETAN member, an indigenous company, or a multinational company, is pretty straightforward. It's international pricing. We have an idea of what a rate costs. We have an idea what the services cost. Is the layers that are created through midwifing and portfolio companies that is causing this. So in PETAN, we're very proactive about this, not just talking about it. The NCDMB, who regulates local content, we're working with them to ensure that qualified Nigerian businesses, qualified Nigerian organizations are the ones that are given the right opportunity for the sake of the country, so that we don't waste cost in producing this oil and gas.
Right, and definitely so much to unpack there, and I want to believe a lot to look out for your association, going into 2025. But we've run out of time.
No, we can't run out of time because we expect our BOT chairman to talk to us. I think we expect you to shoot that.
Yeah, that will come up at some point. But definitely, we'll definitely look at that. But thank you so much.
Just as a last message, the 30th anniversary is coming up.
Yes.
On Friday. In fact, we start on Thursday with a golf tournament. Who is who in the oil and gas industry will be there to celebrate this. It's something that we felt that Nigerians should be proud of, that we have an organization, we have indigenous companies that's as good as any company in the world. Today, our members are working in the Middle East. Members are working in Asia. We have a PETAN company providing same services they develop in Nigeria and India. and across sub-Saharan Africa, in Mozambique, in Uganda, are members that started in this country. We're exporting this local content out to make sure that we're continuing to deliver value to Nigeria.
And we'll definitely keep looking out for that. Thank you so much for coming. That was Engineer Wole Ogunsoya, Chairman, PETAN, and Engineer Dr. Innocent Koevre, Public Secretary and Chairman, 30th Anniversary Committee for PETAN. Thank you both for coming on.
Thank you.
I wish you the very best.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take a break now. When we come back, we head straight to the markets, find out which markets are still rallying and which ones are taking a pause at this time. That's in a moment. Just stay with us.